Good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, wherever you are in the world. Thank you all very, very much for tuning in. Shadow Edge Media here live on Twitch TV. And oh, is it feeling so good to be back. Dustin Moore broadcasting to you live for the opener of Season 26 of the Forza Motorsport Spec Racing Series. Yes, Season number 26, coming hot off the heels of Season 25 3 weeks ago, in which Blister Gypsy came away miraculously in the final race to win the Season 25 championship there in the V8 Aston Martin Vantages. And here today we start anew. Scrap all the points that you see on the board. Everybody starting with 0, hopping in to the Formula Mazda. And oh, I cannot tell you all how excited I am to see this vehicle out on the track being put through its paces starting tonight here at Circuit de Catalunya, the track that I picked for the series, and then capping off the night here tonight out at Hockenheim Ring. It's going to be a fantastic show here tonight. We've got T-Phrase, Foontang, Slaps Vela, Slow Motion Fire already represented there in the chat. If you are watching and you'd like to give a hello, then please do so. Unironically Average with the host. Thank you, Unironically Average. And for all our folks across the pond who are watching this in the wee hours of the morning, thank you all very much for tuning in here. GTOLW52 now with the host. Thank you, sir. And, man, I can't tell you how excited I was for this race here today. I kid you not. I know this is a traditional thing that commentators, heading into a race, they're going to hype it up. But I was eyeing the Formula Mazda for the Mileage Masters series for so long, just never pulled the trigger on it because there were some other races that I wanted to get to. But to have an entire season 26 of the Forza Motorsport Spec Racing Series, to be made up of these cars is absolutely fantastic to me. I cannot wait. I am certainly looking forward to it. And as I look to the lobby, I know a lot of our drivers seem to be ready for this one as well. You guys can't see the lobby yet, but let me run through the names. We've got Cratrium, who finished second overall. Cratrium, pardon me. I'm going to say Cratrium a couple times. I do mean Cratrium, finishing second overall there at 135 last season. Mr. Biggie, that's a name to watch out for. You see him 8th overall on the leaderboard in Season 25, but Mr. Biggie showed up a little bit late and showed up in a big way. I anticipate that to be a name that we're going to be seeing at the top of the leaderboard, top of qualifying first. We've got qualifying, then we'll head out to the track for the racing. Got to go fast. Fear the fun. Audrex is here. T-Phrase, Autobahn, Blister Gypsy, who again won the championship in Season 25 in the final race out at Watkins Glen in the Aston Martin V8 Vantages. Unfortunately, due to Cratrium and at the demise of Cratrium and Well Done Baku, who both faced pit glitch issues that cost them that race. We have a new driver, MyWRX Shin, Mad Skills GH, Brian 1X, Slow Motion Fire, Weiss Lancelot, Demos, Disco Joint, SVR Salty Bonkos. That's 17 drivers out on the grid currently, and I anticipate there might be a few more as we get ready for qualifying here. We'll talk to some of our drivers prior to the race after we get done with qualifying, but qualifying is coming up, and again, we're heading out to Circuit de Catalunya, which happens to be my pick. This is the track that I was certainly hoping for, and as a result for guessing the vehicle correctly, and no, I had no insider information in terms of what the vehicle was going to be, but in the Forza Motorsport Spec Racing Series, you guessed the vehicle that the champion selected based on some photos that are taken, and they're very obscure photos. You select or you pick the right car, you get to pick a track. I picked Circuit de Catalunya. I am thrilled to be heading out to this track, probably my second favorite track in Forza Motorsport, right behind Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. Whew! Man, can you guys feel the excitement in my voice? And we haven't even started racing yet. Qualifying will get started here very soon, in which there will be 3 laps around the track. And the quickest lap is is how you are sorted out on the grid. You get a quick lap, you get at the front of the pack. You get a not-so-quick lap, you find yourself in the back. You get yourself a dirty lap as your fastest lap. Well, then your dirty lap will be slower than even the slowest clean lap. So that's how things are done here in the Forza Motorsport Spec Racing Series. We've got GTOLW now saying hello in the chat. Slaps Vela is there. Slow Motion Fire saying hello to some folks. Man, if you guys are watching, and kudos to you all who tuned in, because this is going to be an outstanding event, or an evening of racing. And this is only for tonight. We've got 4 more weeks of this after tonight, and it's only going to get better as we get through the series and see ultimately where everybody is on the grid at the conclusion of this season. Who's going to come away with the championship? Is Blister Gypsy going to repeat? We'll have to see. We shall see. And I'm going to take a look real quick to the lobby, or not the lobby. I'm going to go quickly to the FM4 Discord channel to look at, see what's going on there as they get ready to set up this race. And actually, let me go ahead and throw that over, and let me get a shout out now on another. Pull that off of Twitter. Give me 1 second here. We're gonna do a quick little promo tease, not for you all that are already here, but for the folks that maybe aren't here and are interested in watching. We certainly want to bring them into the fold. So let me go ahead and we'll pull that off of Twitter. I will go here. I will go there. Patience, patience. Oh, where is it? Where is it? Live streaming, that's what I'm looking for. Post it. Outstanding. All right. The promo work has been done. We've got the drivers readying up. It looks like everybody is ready. So here's the countdown as we get ready to go racing. 3 laps qualifying. And again, the beauty of Forza Motorsport 7, or any video game that has this ghosted system, is that you can do these qualifying sessions on one fell swoop. You don't have to wait for the cars to do it by individual driver. They can all go at once, and that's what we're going to see here. So if you're new to watching the Forza Motorsport Spec Racing Series, if you're new to virtual racing, well, this is a great way to get initiated. Right off the line, we're going to see who is this? Right off the line, it's Cratrium, who's going to be out there in front, followed by Gotta Go Fast in second. So we'll hang out with, actually, let's go to Gotta Go Fast as he gets ready to head into turn number 1, then turn number 2. And again, probably my second favorite track here in the Forza Motorsport 7 title. One of my favorite tracks in the Forza Motorsport franchise, going back several iterations of the game that this track has appeared in. It's just such a wonderful flowing track. You've got a little bit of elevation change, but really you have everything. You've got high-speed straightaways. You've got high-speed corners. You've got very, very tight hairpins. You've got some S's, some chicanes back there before you head back toward the start-finish line. They're absolutely bone-crushing if you hit them wrong. And so we've got everything here at Circuit de Catalunya. And to put these Formula Mazdas through their paces, it's going to be an exciting thing to see, especially once all these cars get together for the race after we get done with qualifying here. What do we have as far as the upgrades to these cars? Well, let me tell you. We've got these vehicles, these Formula Mazdas, up to S748 Performance Index. And the Performance Index in Forza Motorsport 7, for those of you not aware, is the result of an algorithm that calculates the acceleration, the overall speed, braking, cornering, several factors, and S748 is pretty darn high on the performance spectrum here in the virtual world of Forza Motorsport. Mostly because these cars, with them being so low to the ground, these wonderful aerodynamics, very grippy cars, they're not going to be as high speed as hypercars, but once you get out on the straightaways, they're going to be super quick. These are essentially glorified go-karts, is what we have here. T-Phrase asking in the pit lane if Foon is coming. Foon letting us know before the race that he was having some internet issues, so hopefully Foontang will be able to get those sorted out maybe here before the race. If not before this race, then perhaps before the second race out at Hockenheimring. We'd love to see him back out on the track. Let's go ahead and pull up some of the information here within game to tell us who is doing what out on the track. Audrex currently with the top time at a 156.3. Mind you, that's at a standing start to get off the line. Here we go now with the first flying lap. right on board with T-Phrase as he gets around. The paint jobs on these cars are paying tribute to movies, TV shows, and so you've got the Jamaica design there on T-Phrase's car. I'm guessing paying tribute to Cool Runnings and the Jamaica bobsled team. And T-Phrase there on the driver's side has Dirty South Racing painted there in lettering. Salty Baco's representing the SVR crew out here on the track. He gets around T-Phrase in that ghosted silhouettes car. And as I talked about, you get all these cars doing qualifying at once. The trick is, though, with doing it this way, is that you can essentially drive through a car. Now, depending on where your car is situated as you approach a turn, in relation to other cars on the track, it can make it very difficult to see an apex. So you kind of want to try to plan out your quick lap accordingly of the 3 laps that you have to try to space yourself out from the pack so as to give yourself optimal visibility and really nail yourself a top time, as we've got 4 cars here. Salty Baco's, Audrex, T-Phrase, Motive all racing together there in qualifying. As we take a look at the board down there on the left, we've got Cratrium now with a 152.6. That'll be the current top time. T-Phrase going to come across the line with still the top speed at 156 miles per hour. Cratrium holding on to the top spot, though, and he is really just running his own little qualifying session out in the front. He's got nobody around him. We talk about the racing island. We usually talk about that during the race itself, but man, Cratrium is this might as well just be a test day for his team with nobody else out on the track, because seemingly so, with clear visibility all around, forward and aft. We'll see if Cratrium's able to do better than his best time. His second time past the line. He's got the Aperture Laboratories. Somebody in chat's going to have to hook me up with insight, details on where some of these sponsors come from. I am not the TV/cinema buff, so some of these may go right over my head, as Aperture Laboratories certainly has. Where's Umbrella? Where's Umbrella Corporation? I can guess that one. Portal, says OLW. Portal. There you go. And across the line goes Cratrium, or he's about to here at Circuit de Catalunya, the national circuit. And there he goes with, his first top time. He's going to stand at that 152.6. And now all the other drivers will start to come across the line. Let's go ahead and make our way back through the pack. Let's go to Salty Baco's, who currently has the 3rd best time. He's coming out of the final right-hander and slides it out. So that's going to ruin that time for him. No such luck this run through. Across the line, Mr. Biggie now has the top time. And I told you before this qualifying session that Mr. Biggie was strong in Season 25, just came into the game late, and here he is at a 152.3. Got a couple more drivers approaching the line. Autobahn looks to be the caboose on this long train of 17 or 18 drivers out on the track. Autobahn now heading back toward the start-finish line. That'll wrap up qualifying for us out here at Circuit de Catalunya. Again, the national circuit, 1.85 miles. It's a quick 1.85 miles. Mind you, you get around super fast. And there we go, as we go ahead and take a look at the previous results. Unfortunately, don't mind the position off to the left. It's not going to have them sorted by best lap like we would like. Hint, hint, wink, wink, Turn 10 Studios. But Cratrium there, 152.6. That's, again, going to fall behind Mr. Biggie with the 152.3. Audrex even coming in quicker than Cratrium with a 152 Audrex at a 153.5. So Audrex about a second behind Cratrium, trying to look for the next fastest driver out there on the track. Got to go fast with a 155. Disco Joint 158. Mad Skills, we talked about it. He's got that triangle with the exclamation mark. That means he had a dirty lap. That means at no point during those 3 laps around the track was he able to keep all 4 tires on or within track limits. And as such, Matt Skills will be put at the back of the pack along with T-Phrase. Slow motion fire with a 155, 153 there for Blister Gypsy. So that's another name to be on the lookout for. Again, our Season 5 winner. Let's go to the pit lane, or not the pit lane. Let's go to the driver's spotlight and see if we can't talk to any of our drivers. Let's see. We've got Blister Gypsy looking to hop into the driver's spotlight. Blister Gypsy, sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. Can you hear me?
I can, absolutely. Coming off your Season 5 championship win in the Aston Martin V8 Vantages, now hopping into the Formula Mazda, which you have picked, obviously, as the champion. What do you think? Are you feeling pretty confident and comfortable in this car, or what's the deal for you?
To be honest with you, during test and tune, I really wasn't. I seemed to be farther down in the back of the pack during test and tune. This car, obviously it qualified pretty well though, so maybe I didn't have it figured out. But this car, it drives a lot differently from any of the other cars that I think we've done. So I think it's almost kind of like an even playing field, and it kind of suits a couple people's driving styles. So should be interesting.
Interesting indeed. Talking to Blister Gypsy, the Season 25 champion here of the Forza Spec Racing Series. Starting out at Circuit de Catalunya, you've got a lot of track to work with, especially in these Formula Mazdas, which aren't wide by any stretch of the imagination or long. And so I'm guessing that despite having some test and tune nights already at this point, starting at a track like this might be good because it allows folks to kind of separate themselves, get themselves some breathing space. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to take. It's definitely going to take well into the race before I think a lot of people really figure out what they have and how to deal with it. Especially since you always drive a little bit differently when you're in the full blown competition than you do in practice. So yeah, it's probably good that we can get spread out and that the track's pretty wide.
And talk about your qualifying time. So as I look at the leaderboard, Mr. Biggie, I mentioned him before we even got started in qualifying. That's a name to look out for. Craytrim coming in what appears to me to be second overall, and I believe that then leaves you third. And actually, yes, I believe that does leave you third there overall in qualifying. Not Blister Gypsy, but Craytrim and Mr. Biggie, 2 names to look out for. What's it going to take to beat those guys?
I think just running clean. I think as long as you can put down your qualifying lap. I mean, I think I was just over around a second off, which is quite a bit, but for a track this big, it's not terrible. So I think as long as I can run the same lap that I ran, however many times, what do we have, 16 laps or so. Mm-hmm. As long as I can run that lap the same time over and over again, I think I should be in pretty good shape.
16 laps out here at the Circuit de Catalunya Grand Prix circuit, plus the little extra over at turn 10 equals 1.85 miles. Blister Gypsy, tell us, heading into this season, the paint jobs were all about fantasy companies in videos and movies and TV shows. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about your car.
So there's a movie that came out in the early 2000s called Supercross. And Team Nami was the protagonist, bad guy team in that movie. So Channing Tatum rode for them. I don't know how good Channing Tatum is on a real motocross bike, but thought their colors were pretty cool. The name's pretty cool, so I decided to go with it.
Very good, very good. Blister Gypsy, thank you very much for taking a moment to chat with us here before the race. Best of luck to you.
Thank you very much.
All right, and there we go, chatting with Blister Gypsy again, the Season 25 champion, looking to go back-to-back here in Season 26 in the vehicle that he picked, which is the Mazda Formula. But yes, he has some stiff competition. Craytrim, Mr. Biggie, both posting top times just above him. So unless there was somebody else that I was missing on those results, Blister Gypsy qualifying third, that'll put him on the outside line heading into turn number 1, back there behind Mr. Biggie. Forza Spec Racing Series, folks, if you want to participate, guess what? You absolutely can. Even if you're not ready to go here tonight for the opener in week number 1, guess what? With 5 weeks on the schedule, they drop your lowest week in terms of points That means you can come back out here next Tuesday and run with these folks in the Forza Motorsport Spec Racing Series and have a shot at the championship. And again, you win the championship, you get the bragging rights, but in addition to that, you get the ability to choose the car for season number 27. So that's always fun. But best of all, you get out here, race with these folks for 2 races. We'll have 2 races here tonight, Circuit de Catalunya, then out at Hockenheimring. So you have those 2 events every Tuesday. Continue to increase your skill, your ability, get some familiarity with this particular car if you're not too familiar with the Formula Mazda. And just have yourself a good old time. Even if you don't finish out as the championship, well, guess what? Only one person is going to do that. Everybody else is going to have to follow right behind. And we've got 20 drivers now out on the grid, so perhaps we've got a few other drivers who are able to join in just before the race gets kicked off. And unfortunately, a name that I am not seeing right now is Funtang, which is very, very unfortunate. We love seeing Funtang out there on the track. And we're going to have to just forego him here in this one. Maybe going to be able to make it there into Hockenheimring, but hopefully at the very least be able to join in week number 2. Unironically average there in the chat, in the pit lane. Hello to you. Foon's internet is DED dead, says unironically average, and that's the update that we received. And here we go! Kick the tires, light the fires. Opening week, season number 26 of the Forza Motorsport Spec Racing Series. And down the long straightaway here at Circuit de Catalunya they come. And it's going to be Mr. Biggie who has the advantage heading into turn number 1, then turn number 2 as they start to head up the hill. Turn number 3 is this long sweeping right-hander. And as I was doing a little bit of testing here in the Formula Mazda, you can get that car a little bit sideways coming out of there. And that won't set you up very well for the straightaway up to turn number 4, Repsol, as you head back toward the infield section of the facility. Cratrim right there behind him, SBR Salty Boncos in 3rd position, and somewhere back there is going to be Blister Gypsy. It looked like a very clean start. Audrex is in 4th. Fear the Fun is in 5th. Blister Gypsy has fallen back to 6th. Let's go to Blister Gypsy. We were just talking to him before the race, and we see Audrex off the track into the grass doing a little bit of landscaper's work as they head into turn number 7, TV3. This is a very difficult, it's deceivingly difficult going into that corner. It's again, another uphill corner, and if you don't plan it right, you can put your car off camber, pivot it a little bit. Next thing you know, you're facing one of the walls or the grass at the very worst. And here we go into the hairpin. Turn number 10, Lakasha coming out of it up to 11, then 12. Blister Gypsy has fallen back now to 8th position. Let's go back up to the front of the pack with Salty Boncos in 3rd position. Salty Boncos, they're in 3rd as they head down the hill toward 14 and 15. Rack. And then up to 16 is Catalunya. Back toward the start-finish line. 16 laps on this 1.85-mile national circuit here in España. Salty Boncos, again, representing the SVR crew. And we've had the SVR crew here in the Forza Motorsport Spec Racing Series, also over the Mileage Masters Series over the last several months. A relatively new crew. But Salty Boncos, one of those names of the crew that you most certainly have to look out for, and he's proving it at this point, running a very, very strong 3rd after qualifying. Had to have been at least 4th, 5th, maybe even 6th, but definitely moving up the grid. Underneath the Circuit de Catalunya bridge, up to turn 4, Repsol. Once again, these Formula Mazdas, they've got 206 horsepower with 182 foot-pounds of torque. They weigh just a measly 1,226 pounds. Less than a ton, these cars are. And like I said, they're essentially glorified go-karts is what we've got out here. And I absolutely love it. It is fantastic. As we now run on board there with Cratrim as he continues to hunt down Mr. Biggie. We're going to hang out with this fight here for a little bit and see if it either doesn't thin out or if Cratrim makes a run for 1st position. Of course, strategy is going to play a role here. And we've got the barriers just all askew on the track, off the track. You got to look out for those things. They'll slow you down a little bit, and if you hit them just right, they can throw you off. you're cornering off. And so the more of those we can get punted off the track, the better. Great trim coming out of turn 13. Now through the S's. Back toward the start-finish line. I told you, this is going to be a fast one. 16 laps, but it'll happen very, very quickly. Then we'll head out to Hockenheimring, the short circuit there for a 28-lapper. I love the sound of these cars. Love it. The Formula Mazda. It's a popular open-wheel vehicle. As a matter of fact, it's probably the only open-wheel vehicle of the Sports Car Club of America, as they run Formula Mazdas as part of their league. And here in the virtual world, it's making its debut in the FM4 series. Beautifully painted, again, wearing the company colors and logos of fictional companies from TV shows, movies. I love what they do here in the FM4. It's great. Not only do they get great racing going, they have great camaraderie amongst the drivers, but then to have the fun with the designs, the liveries on the cars, to have these themes from season to season is fantastic. Great trim looking toward the apex there. It looked like maybe the back end there of his Mazda sliding out ever so slightly as he continues to hold on as close as possible there to the back of Mr. Biggie. Mr. Biggie showed up strong there in qualifying with the top time, and he remains out in front. I'm going to go ahead and run through the pack for you all as you continue to watch this battle play out. SBR Salty Boncos remains in third position. Blister Gypsy in fourth. Disco Joint is fifth. Weiss Lancelot up to sixth position. Audrex has fallen back to seventh. Slow Motion Fire in eighth. Gotta go fast in ninth. 10th position is PJ Dude. Fear the Fun in 11th. 12th is Mad Skills. TFX Ray Devil in 13th. Brian, T-Phrase, Demos are 14th, 15th, and 16th. Autobahn in 17th. Billy 2 in 18th position. Motive in 19th. My WRX Shin in 20th. Back down the long straightaway. Let's go ahead. Let's get in on the action here. Let's ride on board with Cratering as he does a lap around Circuit de Catalunya. This is the national circuit, which has the little jut out. We'll talk about it here as they start to approach it. But as you ride on board, that long sweeping right-hander, I told you, you want to be hard on the throttle, but you got to be careful. These tires, as grippy as they are, there's just so little weight to the car and so much power and so much torque that they want to slip out. So you got to be able to blink the throttle just enough to maintain traction as you get around the corners. Right here into turn number 5, a little bit less concerned about traction because you kind of slope downhill and you let off the accelerator for that one because it's a little bit sharper. Now here, turn 7, you're heading uphill, and again, I was telling you, it deceives you. It's a little bit more trickier of a corner than it would appear. The entry, you mess up the entry, you can really find yourself in a bad spot over into the kitty later. And here goes Cratrium looking to the outside down the long straightaway, heading up to Lakasha, and it looked like maybe they're going to go too wide into Lakasha. No such luck there. Cratrium just going to patiently hold back, probably a very smart move. And again, the barrier is just thrown all over the track as they head through turn 12 up to Europe Car, which is turn 13, T13, back downhill, the very little undulation, but just enough to get that downhill power, and then you got to hit the brakes through the chicane. And Cratrin, you can almost feel it. He's got the eagerness. He wants to get around Biggie, and he's going to have an opportunity now with approaching the end of lap 4, the start of lap 5 of 17. And here goes Cratrim looking to the outside. Mr. Biggie on the inside. Here through 1, up to 2. Let's go ahead and drop back to Salty Boncos right quick. He's in third position, getting around the long T3. Kind of up the hill, up toward Repsol. Salty Boncos. We've seen some phenomenal races from Salty Boncos, just hasn't been able to come away with any victories from what we've seen. You have to imagine at some point here in season 26, he is most certainly going to want a victory as he comes now out of turn 5, T6 right here. This little bit of a kink, and oh, he gets off into the dirt just ever so slightly. Not the best of decisions to make in a vehicle with very little weight, little traction in the tires, at least off-road traction. You can see he got a little bit squiggly. They're through 9. And actually, they're not on the national circuit. They are on the Grand Prix circuit, foregoing the little jut out there and out at turn out of turn 9. And actually, this is, I beg my pardon, this is, beg your pardon, this is the national circuit, because through Lakasha there, you have a little bit extra of that hairpin to work with. Let's go back up to second position with Cratrium out of T16 Catalunya, back down the long straightaway with Mr. Biggie out in front of him, using that slipstream to keep close. And that's perhaps what resulted in SVR Salty Boncos dropping back, is that he was just not close enough to maintain that slipstream, that draft behind Cratrium, and as a result falls back and has to rely on the help of, let's see, back there in fourth, Disco Joint and Blister Gypsy up to fifth to help push him along. A little bit of smoke there out the back of Cratrium as he hits the brakes. He's there. I mean, he's closing in quickly, and we saw him going into turn number 1 on the outside. It wasn't the ideal line with Mr. Biggie on the inside, and so he continues to just ride there. And at less than halfway into this race, you have to imagine Cratrium, he's just gonna play this one out as best he can, not try to make any dangerous moves, not risk anything. You don't want to make a terrible mistake that all it takes is one little mess up, and you're going to give Mr. Biggie an opportunity to just run away with this thing. So Cratrium, the best thing that he could possibly do right now, hold close, but not make any daring moves. No crazy passes. Right here through the national circuit, this is where they run wide, long outside the Circuit de Catalunya artwork there on the ground, as opposed to that hard hairpin. And that's because they blew through those barriers. That's why they're able to run a little bit wide in that extra section. So that's not the national circuit. Forza Motorsport 7's national circuit has you jutting out after turn 9. Here, what they're doing is they're using a part of the track that isn't normally raced, or that you can't necessarily race in the game, but they're using it. During qualifying, they weren't able to use it because they wouldn't be able to log quick times or clean laps. And so they are running a different path than what they were doing in qualifying. As we continue to watch Cratrium. Let's go ahead and let's see if we don't have another battle back here that we can't watch play out real quick, and then we'll return to second place with Cratrium. It's Blister Gypsy there in fifth position. We talked to him before the race. He's got Disco Joint out in front of him. This is a fantastic run by Disco Joint. Probably, if I had to guess, one of the quicker runs we've seen from Disco Joint in quite some time. SFM Darkzer saying, "Let's go CT," rooting on C-Tom. Previously known as C-Tom, now known as Cratrium. Blister Gypsy now coming out of turn 4 up to T5 in that Team Nami design. Back behind him in 6th is Audrex. And we move back up to second with Cratrium. He has fallen off the pace a little bit here to Mr. Biggie as he finds himself a good, with these short Mazda Formula is a good 5 or 6 car lengths behind, and here's where they blow through those barriers and take the little extra runoff area here at Circuit de Catalunya. Into the right-hander at 12. Darkser saying, "That's my teammate." Rooting on C-Tom. Love it. Absolutely love it.
Hello.
Drove my ass off just to get back to the position I was looking for.
You can hear the thumbsticks of the drivers. That's about all you can hear as they work to control these Formula Mazdas. And again, they've got a lot of track to work with out here at Circuit de Catalunya. A very, very wide track. And so you've got room to have a little bit of a few flubs here and there. But yes, really working those sticks, especially during long corners like T3 there. We talked about it in some of the NASCAR races. On a pad, on a game pad versus a steering wheel, it's a little bit less controllable to have such a defined and consistent line through those long corners versus a wheel where you can hold it like a real car and maintain a really smooth line all the way through the turn. So what oftentimes you'll hear are these the thumbsticks slapping themselves against the side of the controller as they look to hold their line through the turns. As we watch Cratrim through 9, closing that gap on Mr. Biggie as much as possible here. And blowing by Lakasha. Oh, Mr. Biggie! I don't know if Mr. Biggie thought for a second that he was going to go through Lakasha, and now as he realizes going off wide through the circuit that these drivers have made up, that this series is running right now, Mr. Biggie is now back into second position, or has fallen to second position. He's been leading this race from the get-go, and now he's going to play catch-up with Cratrim, and this could make things very, very interesting as we run into the latter half, the second half of this race. Cratrim is now going to be in the lead across the start-finish line. I was wondering when that might happen. If what I saw was indeed what I think had happened, with Mr. Biggie just trained in his mindset that at Lakasha, T10, you take that hard hairpin, and then all of a sudden you realize, no, we're going the wide route. We're doing the thing that we're making up. We're not running the circuit the way that the game has us doing it. And I'm only guessing. I'm only speculating. But I was curious as to when that would happen. And there it seemingly did. Let's go ahead and take a look at the situation with the tires of Cratrim's car. You can see about 25% up there in the front. The tires that are doing all the steering, about 17% there in the back. So tires should not be an issue. Fuel will certainly not be an issue in this race. Perhaps we will have to see pit stops as we look to that finale. The finale being out at Long Beach, 57 laps at the full circuit in week 5. Cratrim has to be thinking, man, thank you very much for that gift there, Mr. Biggie. But as you look off into the horizon, we've got some back markers. So now it's not only going to be Cratrim playing defense with Mr. Biggie, but he's going to have to play offense, a little bit of aggressive driving to get around the back markers, and probably hoping that he's able to make these passes on the long straightaway, heading back toward the start-finish line. Minimize the amount of time that he has spent slowed down back behind one of these cars. It's going to be Brian there in 20th position. As I run through the field, we've got Mr. Biggie there in second. SVR Salty Boncos remains in third position. Disco Joint in fourth. Blister Gypsy is in fifth. Audrex in sixth. Fear the Fun, seventh. Gotta Go Fast in eighth. Slow Motion Fire, who before the race was telling us that he is under the weather, he is in ninth. Weiss Lancelot in 10th. PJ Dude in 11th. Mad Skills is 12th. Ray Devil up to 13th position. T-Phrase back into 14th. Demos in 15th. Autobahn 16th. 17th is Billy. 18th is Motive. WRX Shin in 19th. And Brian there in 20th as Cratrim begins to approach him, coming up here to Repsol. And Mr. Biggie now starting to close in. Food-Tang says, here we go, boys. So I don't know if maybe Food-Tang has, by chance, got his internet up and running and will get out on the track for Hockenheimring, or if he's just going to watch from the sidelines for the remainder of this one and then jump back in week number 2. And again, here in Forza Motorsport Spec Racing Series, it's 5 weeks. They take your top 4 weeks in terms of points. So even if you're not racing out on the track with them here today, you can join in week number 2. Get registered over at reddit.com/r/FM4. Mr. Biggie closing in on Cratrim. Cratrim was able to get around one of the back markers, and Brian, he's going to have another one coming up as Mr. Biggie looking to the inside. On the outside of Lakasha, what a move. And Mr. Biggie has reclaimed first position, heading through turn number 12, then up to 13. Mr. Biggie was not going to allow that mistake last time through Lakasha to burn him, as he is now caught back up and now moves up to the top spot. Cratrim about 5 lengths behind as they head across the line for the conclusion of lap number 10. They'll start lap number 11 of, I believe it's actually lap 16. The final lap will just be a celebratory lap around the track. So I think it's only 16 actual racing laps out here. So don't mind up there in the upper left-hand corner. As you can see there in the telemetry up top. Brian now down the lap. Mr. Biggie is our leader. Cratrium of 110 feet or so back behind. Coming up to Repsol T4 once again underneath the bridge. And Cratrium now starting to lose pace. Let's drop back to 4th position with Disco Joint, who is contesting with SVR Salty Bonkos and Blister Gypsy. They're in 5th. We've got 2 cars in through Repsol side by side. SVR Salty Bonkos is getting attacked on all fronts here, and now Disco Joint is going to move up to 3rd position. Salty Bonkos falling back to 4th. Blister Gypsy looking to the inside through turn number 5. It's going to be Blister Gypsy now taking 4th position. No, make that Salty Bonkos. He's going to hold on to it. Coming up to turn number 7, TV3. What's going to happen? They go wheel to wheel, and they're both able to hold on to it. Fortunately, nobody in the kitty litter. And so as it stands right now, Disco Joint still in 3rd, Blister Gypsy now up to 4th, and Salty Bonkos drops back to 5th position. Let's go hang out with Salty Bonkos now as they pass some of the back markers, and there goes Salty Bonkos abusing the back wing of Blister Gypsy past the Kasha, around the long loop, back up to turn number 12, and Salty Bonkos wants to take those positions back. He got assaulted through Repsol. He had 2 cars just absolutely use and abuse him, and now he has fallen back. Disco heading into the chicane as they go over the curbing back toward the start-finish line for the start of lap number 13. No, that's one of those moments now when you're on the straightaway and you're just gripping that controller with madness, is Salty Bonkos. I imagine falling back 2 positions now to 5th position. And here in the Forza Motorsport Spec Racing Series, going from 3rd to 5th is a difference of 5 points. You go from 45 down to 40. So quite a big difference. That's going to mean a lot in the standings. Disco Joint, Blister, Salty through T3, up to T4. Let's go back to Cratrium right now. We've got all kinds of action from 1st to 5th. And of course, we've got all kinds of cars scattered all across the track out here at Circuit de Cataluña's 1.85 mile about circuit, because they are driving an altered version. They're running their own circuit out here at Circuit de Cataluña. When they come up to Lakasha, they are not taking the hard hairpin. They're running wide off the racing surface as it's defined here in Forza Motorsport 7. Here comes Cratrium, kind of peeking to the outside, gets his tires just up onto the curbing ever so slightly, looking outside, then dropping right back behind Mr. Biggie. Want to maintain that draft, that slipstream, that little bit of slipstream that these Formula Mazdas create. And now out of 12 to 13. Let's see if Cratrium has it in him to make another pass as we get ready to wrap this race up. And I was saying that those drivers there in 3rd, 4th, and 5th were getting ready to start lap 13. It was only because these drivers had already triggered it to go to 12. Now it'll go to 13. And down the long straightaway they go. Shadow Edge Media here live on Twitch TV. Dustin Moore broadcasting for you. Glad to be back. Had a break there this past Sunday. We've been going strong in Mileage Masters. We've got another race coming up here on March 17th. We want to talk to you about it, and we'll do that here at the conclusion of this race. We want you to participate. Let's get that lobby full. It's going to be an exciting one. Stay tuned for details. But currently, we're watching these Mazda formulas, these Formula Mazdas, get around Circuit de Catalunya for the opening week of Season 26 here in the Forza Motorsport Spec Racing Series. I knew this was going to be an exciting race, and it has not disappointed at this point. We've got even more of it to come right here on this broadcast here tonight for Tuesday night racing. Be heading to Hockenheim Ring next. Cratrim starting to close in again. Up on the curbing as they run a little bit wide out of T5. Now through the kink of T6, up the hill ever so slightly through 7. Cratrim closing in. Perhaps Mr. Biggie off his line. As a matter of fact, it looked like he had 2 wheels off the curbing and perhaps was scraping the bottom of the Mazda Formula on the curbing. And that doesn't fare well for the cars, and now they're going to be too wide. Down the stretch they come. It's Mr. Biggie on the inside, Cratrim on the outside, and yet another pass. Our third lead change. Make that 4 lead changes. Mr. Biggie now to the inside, hugging the inside line there of Lakasha. He'll reclaim first position, and Cratrim is now going to have to watch from the back bumper as they wrap up lap 13. This is absolutely insane. I'm so glad that you guys are here watching, and if you know anybody else who is absolutely bored out their mind here on a Tuesday evening, get them in here now. Tell them, get over here. Cratrim down the line once again. Lap number 14 coming up of 16. And I do believe that 17th lap will just be a celebratory lap. That won't mean anything. It won't be a racing lap, unless I'm wrong. We'll see here at the conclusion of this one, or what I think to be the conclusion of this one. Cratrim holding steady through T2, up to T3, this log sweeping right-hander. You've done this now 13 other times. You're doing it for the 14th time, keeping consistent, holding that line. You've lost a little bit of grip in those tires, but you just cannot mess up. Here we come to Repsol. This is where we saw Salty Broncos fall a little bit short to Blister Gypsy and Disco Joint earlier on. As I look back there, in third position is Disco Joint, Blister Gypsy in fourth. Salty Broncos has fallen back off the pace now to fifth. He's got Audrex back behind him as those two in a Repsol. Underneath the bridge goes Cratrim. Woo! Presto is Besto saying, I'm going to try to hop into race number 2. Great to have you, Presto is Besto. Slaps Vela saying, kill him, CT. Oh my gosh. Here we go. This is where Cratrim was able to make the pass last time. But again, it was because Mr. Biggie ran wide through T7 and 8 and came out wide through 9 that allowed Cratrim to catch up. Cratrim looking a little bit stronger there. Coming out of T10 up to 11 and 12. Oh, so close. We can't take our camera off it, folks. We cannot. We're going to hold on to first and second for as long as this battle carries out to the end of the race. If it happens to go the distance through the chicanes, and Cratrim perhaps a little bit slower through that section, and this is where we traditionally see Mr. Biggie get the separation. But it's something about that first half of the circuit that Cratrim really excels, and he's able to catch right back up. Woo! Man, good racing. It's a Tuesday night. You're ready to put it to bed, head into hump day, and we've got a car that is off onto the runoff area there through T1. I can't quite make out who that is. Let me see if I can't skim through the field and figure who is parked over there. It's going to be 18th of Demos. Demos just sitting off the side of the track, and I don't know if maybe went in too quickly into turn 1, crashed into the wall, and then damaged that Mazda so much that he's not able to get back under power. I don't know. Unfortunate for Demos, especially in 18th position. He's now going to give away 2 positions for the remainder of this race. And here goes Cratrim now once again out of T5. If you're enjoying the racing action, and if you're not at this point, I don't know what else we can do to make it entertaining for you. You might as well just disappear. You might as well just disappear. But if you are enjoying it, please click that follow button. Lets me know as the broadcaster that you are enjoying your time here, just as SFM, Darkzer, and Bling Headshot. Thank you very, very much for the follows. And if you can, support the channel just that little extra more with a subscription, either through your Twitch Prime free monthly token or with a monetary contribution. That will be greatly appreciated as well. Get you some emotes. And it also prevents you from seeing those pesky ads, which always rear their ugly heads at the worst of times. We're going to get to the last lap and watch an ad's going to pop up. I'm not wishing it upon you all. I'm just saying it may happen. So if you subscribe, you could certainly avoid that. Some ad-free viewing here on Shadow Edge Media Twitch TV. Across the line for start of lap 16. I'm going to say it. The white flag flies. Here we go. Final lap. As again, I believe lap 17 will be just a celebratory lap. I don't think it's under full speed. It's not a racing lap. So Craytrim, if he's going to make a move, I do believe it needs to be made now. As he looks to the inside, Mr. Biggie just tapping that apex as close as he can up onto the curbing through T3. That's quite a line. I'm not daring enough to touch the curbing there through that section. He does that, and here comes Craytrim catching up through Repsol, T4 up to T5. This is where Craytrim's been exceedingly strong. Will he try to make a move here at 5? He runs a little bit wide, then ducks it back down to the inside, up onto the curbing, into T6. Now it's TV3 heading uphill. Into the right-hander, and Craytrim not as close as he could be through this section. We've seen him a lot closer, and they've got some lap traffic up ahead, which hopefully they can avoid. And here we go. Craytrim's going to make a move to the outside. Mr. Bigot to the outside. That's where these two have these have been the lines of choice for these two drivers. Craytrim always going for that outside line, ducking it back to the inside, falling onto the back bumper of Mr. Biggie, and Craytrim runs wide through T12 and off into the dirt, and that's going to give Mr. Biggie the win in this one. Craytrim looks to finish second. Disco Joint there in third. Let's go to Blister Gypsy, who is in fourth position. And let's see if Blister's going to be able to catch up. He gets onto the curbing and gets a little bit wobbly. And over the humps. Back toward the start-finish line. No such luck there, and we'll see if these guys are racing it out or what. Again, my sheet tells me that they'll see 16 laps, but it appears they may be running for 17. Actually, no, there it is, as Mr. Biggie parks it in turn number 1. Let's go back into the pack. Let's go to 9th position. That's going to be Fear the Fawn, who's back behind Weiss Lancelot. Look at this battle for 9th and 10th, or excuse me, 8th and 9th. And pardon me, that's Slow Motion Fire, who's in 8th. Fear the Fawn's going to run a little bit wide. And oh, they make contact on the right front tire there of Fear the Fawn, the left rear of Slow Motion Fire, and that's how they're going to come across the line. Slow, Fear the Fawn. In 10th, it's going to be Weiss Lancelot. 11th is Mad Skills. He's got PJ Dude back behind him at 12th. 13th is TFX Ray Devil. And Ray Devil now coming out of T16. Catalunya up toward the start-finish line. 13th finish will be his spot. 14th goes to T-Phrase. 15th is Autobahn. As we watch Autobahn get around the track, and this will allow all the other drivers to go ahead and make up their lap for those who are off the lead lap. Futang saying, "Bring on the dirty laps!" Exclamation mark triangle. I miss my brown pog. One day I'll have my own. Futang saying he's back in the game. There goes Autobahn across the line. That should be Autobahn's final lap there in 15th position. 16th for Motive, 17th for Billy Billy. And Demos is in 18th with Shen, in 19th Brian, in 20th. Those drivers apparently not going to try to reclaim their position. They're happy with where they're at. And so there you go, folks. Mr. Biggie, who finished in the qualifying session on the pole position, is going to come away with the win in this one. And at some point here, we'll get these cars back underway as they go around for a victory lap, or at least a victory lap for Mr. Biggie. And Craytrim just pushing it a little bit too much there into T12, or heading into T12. Actually, it was before he even got into the corner that he found himself off into the grass out of Lakasha. Well, there you go, folks. That's only part one of our two-part piece of entertainment here tonight. Shadow Edge Media, Dustin Moore broadcasting. We've got Hockenheim Ring, the short circuit coming up. That's going to be a beaut, a 1.64 mile circuit that one is. And man, you thought Circuit de Catalunya was exciting. Wait till we get out to Hockenheim Ring, a little bit more crowded. Not as much room to roam, track surface wise, and just as much speed. However, a lot of speed out there at Hockenheim Ring. And here we go, Mr. Biggie, burning the tires, back out on the T2. And now he'll slow it down and wait for everybody else to catch up. Slapsvella says CT might not have won the race, but he won our hearts, says Slapsvella. Yeah, it was a commendable effort for sure. Those guys swapped positions, I counted 4 times at least 4 lead change positions between the two of them. And yeah, so a commendable run there by CT, as he was formerly known, or Cratrium as he is now known as Mr. Biggie continues to be the only one to make his rounds out here at Circuit de Catalunya. Some great liveries this season, says unironically average. Darkzer saying this will be fun. As if it wasn't already. As if it wasn't enough fun already, we get a second part here this evening. An encore. Slapsvella saying the Cool Runnings one there on T-Phrase's car is killer. And again, these liveries done up in tribute, in honor of fictional companies within movies and TV shows, and perhaps maybe some video game companies as well. As Mr. Biggie gets ready to approach the start-finish line, and as he dances around and across the line he goes. I'm not entirely sure what the drivers are doing. This is something entirely new that we've not seen here in F4, so I can't honestly say what is going on. T-Phrase didn't roll the cars, so it can't be an accurate representation. And there you go. It's only going to be Mr. Biggie who's going to officially complete the race. And let's go ahead and take a look at the race results. It's Mr. Biggie there in first, Cratrium in second, Disco Joint is third, Blister Gypsy in fourth, Salty Bonkos in fifth, Audrex sixth position. Gotta Go Fast in 7th, Slow Motion Fire 8th, Fear the Fun in 9th, Weiss Lancelot in 10th, Mad Skills, PJ Dude, Ray Devil, T-Phrase are 11th through 14th, Autobahn, Motive, Billy, Shin are 14th through 18th, and then Brian and Demos there in 19th and 20. Yeah, Cool Runnings where the Bob slip flips over, so it's not an accurate representation. Hey, if you could flip the Mazda Formula or the Formula Mazda, that would be quite a feat. I would be excited to see that. And looks like we've got T-Phrase. I was just talking about you, T-Phrase. We're talking about how your car is not authentic to Cool Runnings in that it didn't flip, but for you, not flipping the car, that's a good thing. And he can't hear me. He can hear me now. T-Phrase, you didn't flip the Mazda Formula, which is good. So despite the delivery on your car, you had one heck of a race out there.
Well, I did a bad qualifying because apparently if these cars bottoms out, it dirties the lap. So that dirtied the lap. And then in the first straightaway, the way my car's set up, it's meant for an acceleration, and I have like no aero running on this tune. So I passed probably 7-8 cars on the first straightaway. And then I ran into, I think it was WRX, and that ruined it right there. So then I was playing catch up the whole time. But the car's still too tight, so I got to go back to the drawing board for further races. But Hockenheim is going to be it's going to be wild, guaranteed.
Hockenheim is going to be wild, predicts T-Phrase. T-Phrase finishing 14th position back there behind a couple of the TFX crew members, PJ Dude and Ray Devil and Autobahn, talking about getting tangled up there with some of the other drivers out on the track. Certainly these Formula Mazdas, you get tangled up, particularly in the wheel wells or the tires, because there are no wheel wells. These are open wheel cars. Really throws these cars askew. But apart from that, when you weren't getting tangled up, you said there's a little bit of tuning into the car to do, but are you pretty happy with this car choice that Blister Gypsy had? Or were you excited about this one coming into season 26?
Yeah, so this is my, I think, fourth season now that I've ran. Absolutely hated the Porsche. I was mixed emotions about the Fiat. And then the Aston is like my new favorite A-Class car now. So Blister had some big shoes to fill with this car, but I think he did a really good job. The wheel wells are one thing, but the front wing is longer than it really seems. So you will see more of people catching each other in close racing and not meaning to. Right. I mean, it's one of those situations where you're so far back there, you can't tell exactly how far it is, whether you're in car or chase cam. Now I'm a chase cam guy, but some of the guys that were in car, they were saying that this car, the nose is longer than expected, which is what happened on the first turn for me. I think it happened to Fear as well. So, it's just something we're going to have to adjust to and get used to. But these next couple tracks we're going to be at after this week are going to be a good time, and this car is meant for racing.
T-Phrase giving a little teaser of what's ahead. We got Sebring that's coming up there in week number 2. That's race 3. Then Road Atlanta, Indy, Nürburgring at the GP circuit. So a lot of great tracks coming up ahead. But tell us about Hockenheim Ring. What are we going to see out here at Hockenheim Ring? It's the short circuit, the 1.64 mile circuit. Is there any particular corner that we should be looking at that might be a little bit difficult for these Mazda formulas, or is this track really a beaut for these guys, for these cars?
So lap 1, obviously turn 1 will be, because it's tight and there's plenty of runoff, so people will give room, but those bumps will catch somebody, and it could stack up. I don't know how it's going to go down. I think everybody in this group is pretty good about being cautious and smart. I mean, we saw that last season with the Bathurst race where we were 3 wide, 2 rows. So they're pretty. I mean, the front guys will be pretty good. The mid guys. So I'll probably be in the back. So I'll probably be holding things down back there. But turn, I'm not sure what turn is, but where you go into the high speed left hander, going into a hard braking zone to the right. If you don't get that just right, you're going to lose time, or you're going to go in the kitty litter and collect some people when you do it. So those 2 turns will be big. My worst turn is the hairpin turn. I cannot get my car to rotate without rotating it with the rear wheels, and that's just not fast. So it will be because this is a tighter course, it will be tight racing. The front guys will be the front guys, but it'll be fun all the way through. So.
And chatting with T-Phrase here in the driver's spotlight. We've got no other drivers here, so I'll ask you one more question. Out at Circuit de Catalunya, perhaps the curb's a little bit more forgiving out there. What do you say about the curbs here at Hockenheim Ring? Are you staying away from them as much as possible, or are they forgiving as well?
Yes and no. The curb on the first turn is really the only one you really worry about. The front inside can catch you, and then the outside of it as well. You can hit it, think you're fine, but if you've got too much damping and too much rebound, your car's going to be on 2 wheels. And then I could potentially flip this car. So we might still see me flip the Jamaican bobsled.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I'm just saying that's the only curb I worry about. All the other ones are pretty low-speed curbs. There's not really any high-speed turn that's got a high curb except for that one, because you're in third, maybe even fourth gear, probably about 80 to 95 miles an hour in a car that weighs nothing, and it's going to hit a bump that's pretty big. So we'll see what happens. I think, like I said, with this group, everybody knows how to race each other. Even though we've got some new guys in there. I mean, you saw from race 1, we had maybe 1 or 2 that actually got spun around. Everybody was good with it though. So that's the testament to these guys in the race group. But yeah, I don't know. Hockenheim is going to be. It was my selection.
Oh, good.
I wanted the long one, but the short one was, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. It could be the cleanest race we run, or it could be, Daytona 2.0.
Very good. T-Phrase, good chatting with you. It looks like we're ready for qualifying out here at Hockenheim Ring. So best of luck to you here in race number 2. We hope to see you a little bit further up in the pack there out on the race itself.
Sounds good. Thank you, Shadow.
Thank you. All right, there we go, folks. And as we get ready here for qualifying, all the drivers are readied up, and we take a look at the lobby. We've got more drivers than we had in race number 1. There's Funtang out on the grid, so sure enough, we'll see him out there try to set a top time and perhaps be able to get some practice in here in week 1. This is undoubtedly going to be his throwaway week, and so unless any of the other weeks happen to be just as bad in terms of his internet connection. So this is a great opportunity for Funtang to come out here and at least put the car through its paces, see how well he can do against this field of drivers, and get himself ready for week number 2, which again, Sebring, that's going to be an exciting race, and then probably to the track with the most undulation of any of them there at Road Atlanta. Here we go. Mad Skills going to be the first off the line for qualifying. Here we go into T1. We talked about it there with T-Phrase, mentioning that in the race itself, we're going to want to watch that corner, make sure everybody gets through there cleanly. You don't want to put yourself in a position to have to head back toward pit lane after one lap. And here, because we are on the short circuit, you cut it well before T2 on the Grand Prix circuit into the infield and back toward T11, which is Mobile 1. And then Sachs, 13, 14, 15, Suit Curve in 16. We talked about we got more Mileage Masters racing coming in March 17th, with the 1-year anniversary of Mileage Masters. You want to check it out, it's all down below. Get yourself registered, hop yourself into a Mazda MX-5 Cup car, and then we'll see you out on the track. And again, that's March 17th. That is St. Patrick's Day. March 17th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time for 2 hours of racing out at Lime Rock in those MX-5s. It's going to be a good one. We already have half the field registered, so we're looking for 10 more drivers, and perhaps maybe even an additional one as we get ready for that race less than 3 weeks away, as we watch drivers get around for qualifying here. Forza Motorsport Spec Racing Series season number 26. T-Phrase with the quick time so far at a 107.4. And now it's going to be Salty Boncos with a 106.4. Mr. Biggie off the track there. So Mr. Biggie not having such a successful run here on lap number 2. And again, lap number 1 here in qualifying is always that standing start. So you're not likely to have a quick time that first time through. It's the second run and the third run where you really want to try to pin down the top time. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself further in the pack. Mr. SFM Darkzer coming across with a 105.5. Man, we've got all kinds of changes here on the telemetry in terms of the top time, and Mr. Darkzer is going to hold on to that. Let's go to Darkzer as he makes his third and final lap around in the Martina-designed Formula Mazda. Through 11, Mobile 1, and again, this is the short circuit, so these guys are cutting through the infield. You missed 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way through turn 10, and instead you jumped straight over to turn 11, then 12, 13, 14, 15 to 16. And Darkzer now is going to fall back as Salty Boncos reclaims the top spot with a 105.2. And good for Salty Boncos, and Darkzer takes it back with a 104.4. Wow. And that's going to be it. I think maybe Salty Boncos is wrapping up lap number 3 here. Let's see if he's able to post an even quicker time. As he heads out wide, then ducks it into the inside, comes up here to Sachs. Off the accelerator this time, one of the slower corners then 13, 14, you've got to be careful not to cut it in too far here, especially during qualifying. You'll exceed track limits. You'll lose your clean time. And Salty Broncos now heading up over the curb past the drag strip out here at Hockenheim Ring, back toward the start-finish line. And no quick time. That one, Darkzer is going to remain our top qualifier out here on the track. And we'll see if we don't talk to another driver before this race gets going. So if there are any other drivers who would like to chat before we start up the race, then hop into that queue for interview section. We'll talk to you then. And then at the conclusion of race number 2 here tonight, we'll see if we can't get some of our drivers in here for a little chatter. And let's go ahead and let's chat with Mr. SFM Darkzer, who's joining the track after being in the pit lane there for race number 1. Out here for race number 2. Darkzer, what a quick time you had out there. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right, so you're hopping into the Formula Mazda out here at Hockenheim Ring. We saw Mr. Biggie. We saw Cratrium battling it out there in first and second. You're now on the pole position. What's it going to do to play defense against those guys?
Well, they looked like they were really having good control of these cars, so it's definitely going to be difficult. They're not going to make it easy. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Not going to make it easy. Is this your first appearance in the Forza Motorsport Spec Racing Series, or at least the first time that I've seen you since broadcasting these?
I've done a few series in the past, but this is my first one since, I think, the Datsun 510, so maybe like 6 or 7 seasons ago. Okay. Talking with SFM Darkzer, gets the top qualifying time out here at Hockenheim Ring, getting ready to race for 28 laps. Tell us about the nuances of this Formula Mazda out at Hockenheim Ring. It's a flat and level track for the most part, but what do you got to be looking out for as you're preparing for this race? You've got to be extremely careful in that first corner not to dirty your lap or to get too far onto that inside curb, because it'll just throw you over the track. And then coming into the stadium section, you have to be extremely careful turning in, because if you get the curb, you get sent into the gravel. So you really just got to watch your turning points.
Got to be careful, not get too aggressive. Know that there are 28 laps, a lot of racing to be had out here. Tell us, T-Phrase was a little blunt. He said, I was really hoping for the Grand Prix circuit out here at Hockenheim Ring, but here we are at the short circuit. What would you have preferred?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, T-Phrase was telling us he would have rathered having the Grand Prix circuit out here at Hockenheim Ring, but instead we find ourselves at the short circuit. What is your preference out at Hockenheim Ring?
I kind of like both, because they have different strengths to certain kinds of cars. And with a car like this that doesn't have as much power, the tight, twisty nature of the shorter circuit makes for a lot more wheel-to-wheel racing. So I think for this car, the short circuit would be the better choice.
And Mr. Biggie there at Circuit de Catalunya, it appeared that perhaps his mind was trained on going into the sharp hairpin of La Caixa versus the long roundabout. How do you, coming out of turn number 1 with so much speed, looking down that long straightaway, how do you trick your mind or get your mind in the right frame to know, hey, I have a right-hander coming up?
I don't know. You just gotta think about it.
you do. I mean, we see it so many times in the multiplayer hoppers where drivers just go plowing through that first corner. So hopefully we won't have any of that here today. SFM Darkzer, if you're going to give us a prediction here, you're showing up for race number 2. Where do you see yourself at the end of this one? Do you hold on to it after you're starting out on the pole position, or what? What do you? Obviously, you're hoping for a top spot, but where do you see yourself being here at the end of this race?
I predict I'm either going to die in a ball of fire or finish reasonably well. So we'll see. It's toss-up.
I always ask that question as if I'm to expect some driver to say, oh, yeah, I want to finish back behind where I qualified. It's inevitably I'm going to fall back.
Well,
no,
I have a reputation for flipping over in strange spots, so we'll see if that happens tonight.
You and T-Phrase, they're going to try to flip the Formula Mazda. SFM Darkzer, great talking to you. Congratulations on your pole qualifying finish out here. Good luck in race number 2. And, hey, are we going to see you through the remainder of season 26, or is this just kind of a cameo here?
I hope to be back, but we'll see.
Awesome. Good luck in the race here.
Thanks.
All right, talking there with SFM Darkzer as we get ready for 28 laps out here at Hockenheim Ring, the short circuit. And yes, we have a full grid of cars. 23 cars in this race versus the 20 that we had at Circuit de Catalunya. So Darkzer, Funtang being the two that are joining this race midweek, or not midweek. I guess it's midweek. Middle of week number 1 here for race number 2. Cratrium, Gotta Go Fast, Fear the Fun, Audrex, Blister Gypsy, Salty Bonkos, Disco Joint, Slow Motion, T-Phrase, Weiss Lancelot, Autobahn, Mad Skills, Shin, Motive, Brian, PJ Dude, Demos, Ray Devil, Billy, Foontank, Dark Sir, Biggie, Bambi Buster. The list goes on. Well, it can't go on. It does end at 23, but 23 drivers. Kudos to the Forza Motorsport Spec Racing Series, Slow Motion Fire, for putting these things on year after year, and here we go. It's all going to pay off. An exciting way to end opening week of season number 26. I'm getting there, Slow Motion Fire. I promise I'm getting there. Thank you. I appreciate it. Sorry, I don't mean to slow things down. I get caught up in those interviews. We have a good time talking to the drivers. And now here we go, getting ready for racing in the 206 horsepower Formula Mazda. It's Dark Sir on the pole position on the outside. Salty Bonko's there in third. Audrex in the second position. And here we go into turn number 1. Let's go ahead and drop back the pack. Let's go to Mad Skills, who's there in 10th position as they come out of T1. And we've got a car sliding out. I didn't make out who that was, heading into the tire wall. And of the 23 drivers, if that's the only one, then that's not a bad start. We see more tire smoke, more bashing, tire to tire out there, but let's go back up to our leaders. It's going to be Salty Bonkos up there in second position, back behind Dark Sir. And then Audrex, Fear the Fun in fourth as they go through 11 up to 12. T-Phrase in fifth, Disco in sixth. T-Phrase having a much better outing this time by than where he finished there at Circuit de Catalunya, at least so far in this race. He finished 14th last time, currently running in 7th. Back toward the start-finish line they go in these glorified go-karts. And again, 206 horsepower, 182 foot-pounds of torque with just 1,226 pounds to their name. S748 is the performance index here in Forza Motorsport 7. Back up to the right-hander. Again, it's the short circuit, so you have to know. You can't get in that mindset that we're at the Grand Prix circuit. It won't work out for you. You'll go smashing into those green tires. You got to turn into the infield. Salty Bonkos looking around for a pass, perhaps around Dark Sir there. No opportunity, and I don't think you're going to see a lot of passing here in the infield. And there goes Salty Bonkos running wide, kicking the cones. Let's get some Shadow 288 cones in the chat. As the cones go flying, Audrex is going to look to the inside through turn 11. Audrex is now going to move up to second, at least temporarily. They're too wide into Sachs, and Salty's going to reclaim it. Audrex saying, I'm going to hang out right here. I'll be okay with that for now. Disco Joint, though, closing in fourth position. Dark Sir starting to take off as he heads back toward the start-finish line for the beginning of lap number 3. 28 laps, 28 laps. I know it shows 29 up in the upper left-hand corner, but that lap will not, that'll just be a celebratory lap, so don't mind it. And Dark Sir is a little squirrely coming off the curbs out of 1, and that's going to allow the others to start to catch up. Salty Bonkos most certainly is. And Audrex, although there was an opportunity for Salty to catch up, but because he's playing defense with Audrex and Disco Joint behind him, it's allowed Dark Sir to pick up right where he left off before that little hiccup. T-Phrase in 5th, Slow Motion Fire is 6th, Lancelot in 7th position. Gotta Go Fast is 8th, PJ Dude in 9th, Mad Skills in 10th, Mr. Biggie all the way back there in 11th position. 12th is Blister Gypsy. 13th, Footang. 14th, Fear the Fun. 15th is Bambi Buster. 16th is Demos. Cratrium way back there in 17th position. Ray Devil in 18th. 19th is Autobahn. Brian is 20th. Billy in 21st. 22nd is Shin. 23 is Motive. All 23 drivers who started still out on the track. Let's go to Blister Gypsy in 12th position. And we've got all kinds of cars out here as we see Blister. No, that's not Blister. That's going to be Futang, who was ducking to the inside looking for some clean air to maybe make a pass there to T1. No opportunity for him. Blister Gypsy now dropping back to 11th behind Mr. Biggie. And we got more tire smoke, and we got cars 3 wide coming out of turn 1. PJ Dude is going to be the one who makes makes the most of it. He's in 12th position now. Back behind him is Bambi Buster 13th, Demos 14th, 15th, Cratrium now 16th is Food Tank. Food Tank continues to drop back, unable to race in race number 1 due to some internet connectivity issues. And not off to a great start here in week 1. And we got another car who's off into the dirt there through Sachs. Didn't see who it was. It looks like it was perhaps PJ. No, it's not PJ, dude. Was it Mad Skills? I think it might have been Mad. Yes, Mad Skills dropping back to 12th after being in 10th. As they go screaming across the line. Let's go to Slow Motion Fire, who's running in 8th position. Unironically average, saying the mid-pack looks so close on the map, and they absolutely are. Slow Motion Fire trying to hold off while making moves at the same time, although he's got some stiff competition. And he ducks to the inside with Mr. Biggie down there. Slow Motion Fire just did not see him. Now Mr. Biggie is saying, I'm going to get around you here through 11. I got to get around now because Slow Motion Fire did not see him. Mr. Biggie wants no part of that. And there goes Blister and Biggie around Slow Motion. Slow Motion now will drop from 8th to 10th. And he's got behind him PJ Dude in 11th. Up to 6th with T-Phrase. T-Phrase is going to look to the inside, down the long straightaway. Weiss Lancelot on the outside. He's going to have the advantage, although T-Phrase, wow, T-Phrase hit that apex wonderfully in turn number 1 and actually is able to hold on to 6th position, or excuse me, 5th position. That was a wonderful, wonderful approach by T-Phrase, and he absolutely nailed it. Weiss, though, still there, and Mr. Biggie, you don't have to look far behind to find the pack that is moving themselves up through the field very, very quickly. Weiss Lancelot continues to harass T-Phrase there in that Cool Runnings Jamaica-painted Mazda formula. Here comes Biggie, here comes Gypsy, here comes, it's Slow Motion Fire! Pivoting that car, it was like he was on casters. And Mr. Biggie into the side of T-Phrase. T-Phrase spins out, and T-Phrase now dropped back to 12th, make that 13th, make that almost 14th with Mad Skills trying to get around him, and Mad Skills will. And so Mr. Biggie doing no favors to T-Phrase, getting him spun out, coming out of T15, heading into Suit Curve, and now Slow Motion Fire moves up to 9th position from 10th. All kinds of action mid-pack as Darkser continues to lead this race. Salty Bonkos continues to be in 2nd. Disco Joint in 3rd. Audrex in 4th. Much better run for Audrex here this time through. Weiss Lancelot in 5th. Biggie has moved up to 6th. Blister Gypsy 7th. Gotta Go Fast is 8th as we watch Gotta Go Fast right now. Slow Motion Fire in 9th. PJ Dude in 10th. Bambi Buster in 11th. Cratrium has made his way to 12th, but man, he is still so far back from the main bulk of the pack. Mad Skills has fallen back to 13th. T-Phrase, again, miserably back there to 14th. That's where he finished at Circuit de Catalunya. Let's see if he can't pick up a few spots. And we've got a driver who is into pit lane. I'll see if I can't try to make out who that is. That's going to be 23rd of Brian. Let's go to 7th position with Blister Gypsy, who again is there on the back end of Mr. Biggie as they head out of T2 through the infield. What a race, says Unironically Average. We've had back-to-back slobber knockers, and it's only going to get better here as we head into week number 2, 3, 4, and 5. The next 4 Tuesdays right here, Shadow Edge Media, 8 p.m. Eastern. Do not miss the action. If this week is any indication, these next 4 are going to be absolutely insane. Blister Gypsy coming out of Sachs, up to Mr. Biggie. Weiss Lancelot falling off the pace a little bit, allowing 6th and 7th to close in. Gotta Go Fast back there still in 8th position. Let's go quickly to Disco Joint, who has made a move around Salty Bonkos. Salty Bonkos now falling back to third position. Salty Bonkos going to look to the inside out of Nord Curve. He's going to make a daring move through T2, and he does it, at least for now. What a great move there by Salty to reclaim it. Phenomenal racing out here. From front to the back of the pack, if we had as many cameras to be able to watch the action, we would. But unfortunately, we just have this one. Dark Sir is off the pace. Here comes Disco Joint and Salty 2-1 through Mobile. Coming up to Sachs, Dark Sir is well off the pace after having a commanding lead early on. Dark Sir telling us before the race, you're just going to have to concentrate on this one. Just going to have to focus. A mistake on this track and in these cars is a detriment to your position out here. And of course, that holds true to a lot of tracks. But when you've got such stiff competition as you have out here right now in this field of 23 drivers, every mistake could risk you not just one position, but 2, 3, 4, or maybe even 5. As we watch Salty Bonkos now put about 2 or 3 car lengths between he and Disco Joint heading into 2, and Disco Joint quickly closes that gap in. Darkstar starts to reclaim his commanding lead, or at least a much more stronger lead in this one versus where he was last time through this lap. And they're going to start approaching some of these back markers. As a matter of fact, they've already passed some of these cars. They've already sent some drivers off the lead lap, and they'll continue to come across these other drivers through the remaining 18 laps. Halfway through lap number 10 here. Into Sachs. Let's go ahead and make our way back to the thick of things, mid-pack. Let's go to Mr. Biggie there in 6th. He is harassing Weiss Lancelot coming up to Sachs. Mr. Biggie getting caught up with T-Phrase back there. Perhaps a little bit rambunctious there through T15. Sending T-Phrase spinning through the corner, dropping him back as far as 14th position. We'll check on T-Phrase here in a little bit, but there goes Mr. Biggie trying to move up to 5th. And after 5th, it's a long jaunt to 4th. But if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Mr. Biggie. Mr. Gypsy has fallen off the pace to Biggie a little bit there in 7th position. 8th has got to go fast. 9th, Bambi Buster. 10th, Mad Skills. T-Phrase has moved up from 14th to 11th. I said we'll check on him. There he is. Another solid run out of T1. T-Phrase, he picked this track. He was hoping for maybe the Grand Prix circuit. We end up here on the short circuit. But, man, he's got turn 1 dialed in. And he's got lap traffic up in front of him. He's got Mad Skills, though, in 10th position up ahead. Let's see if T-Phrase can't make something happen through the remainder of this race. Now let's go back up through the field. And let's go to Salty Bonkos, who is in 2nd position and closing in on Darkser. And 3rd of Audrex. Wow, Audrex is 3rd now. Disco Joint is 4th. So what has happened to Disco? Disco is into pit lane. Disco Joint bringing his car into pit lane. That's really unfortunate for Disco. He was having a phenomenal race, but something went wrong with his car. And now we've got Audrex out of T1 up to T2 into the short. Oh, there goes the 20th position car running wide. That's WRX Shin running wide out of T2. Back up to Salty Bonkos. Unironically average in the pit lane, saying Funtang and I have been saying for ages that we'd love to see F4 run these cars. They are exceeding expectations so far. I might as well just say it. Just run Formula Mazdas every damn season. No, I kid. There's plenty of great options in the world of Forza Motorsport. This being just one of them. And again, these cars, popular in the Sports Car Club of America. It's no wonder that these are the open-wheel vehicle of choice for that club, and they are performing just as well, if not better. And Salty Bonkos onto the curb and coming out of Nord Curve, and that throws him off a little bit. He'll have to catch up with Dark Sir now. Let's see, 3rd position is Audrex, Mr. Biggie in 4th. Let's go to Blister Gypsy in 5th, who's trying to take 4th position away as they come out of Nord Curve. If you're watching this race live, please say hello in the chat. We'd love to know what your thoughts are on this race with more than half of the race remaining. in this 28 lapper. All you have to do is just give us a hello. But if you're enjoying the action, please click that follow button. Mr. Biggie. Oh, Blister Gypsy looked like he was going to try to make a move, but tapped the wall there going into 11. And Blister Gypsy's going to run wide. Fortunately, he had just enough of the runoff area to be able to get that car turned back around toward the apex. And is able to do so, and now they've got Motive of lap traffic there. Motive's going to drop down to the inside, and actually Motive's going to go into pit lane as 4th and 5th get around. 6th, got to go fast. Bambi Buster in 7th. Mad Skills has moved up to 8th position. T-Phrase, look at T-Phrase from 14th now to 9th. Yes, well done T-Phrase, and if he can hold strong, that has to be the recovery of the race, I would have to imagine. You can't get discouraged. You get the car turned around, flip it back around again, get back out on track as we see one of the lap cars go wide. Actually, no, that's Fear the Fun. Fear the Fun running wide through T2. And we move back up through the field. We've got Mr. Biggie and Blister Gypsy once again. Blister Gypsy, though, has made a move around Biggie for 4th position, and Blister going a little bit high into Sachs once again. Dagon 187 saying, let's go TFX Bambi Buster, rooting on his buddy Bambi. And we've got cars exiting pit lane out of turn 1. That's a dangerous situation. As a matter of fact, let's go to Salty Bonkos, who is in 2nd now after battling it out with Disco Joint. And unfortunately, Disco Joint had to go into pit lane, but now Salty Bonkos clawing his way through the back markers, through the infield. Out here at Hockenheim, Germany. Salty to the outside of Motive. What a pass. I wouldn't have done it. I don't have the intestinal fortitude to make that pass, but Salty Bonkos showing just how strong that SVR crew is. There's no doubt that he is on the SVR crew because of his ability to make moves like that, and that's one for the highlight reel. Salty now looking to take down another one of the back markers. And sure, he's making moves on the back markers, but there's no other way that you're going to be able to contest for first but to do some of these daring passes and to keep up with Dark Sir, who's out there in front. Dark Sir, a couple of mistakes, has threatened him in losing that position, but has been able to put some separation between he and the pack. Salty Bonkos, there's Audrex in 3rd position as he makes his way through the back markers. So it was no joke when we were talking to Dark Sir before this race, and T-Phrase even, that it's not only going to be about concentration of the circuit, but obviously the traffic. And for the most part, it looks like the lead lap cars are doing a magnificent job in doing so. Audrex now away from lap traffic, at least temporarily, coming through or up to T11. Back and forth is Blister Gypsy, Mr. Biggie, and Mr. Biggie and Blister continue to battle it out for 4th position. And looked like maybe Biggie was going to give it up there. And oh no! Blister Gypsy getting into the backside there of Mr. Biggie, putting him off into the kitty litter. And now Mr. Biggie through Sachs is going to have to play catch up. And I don't know if there's any damage to that car to Mr. Biggie or Blister Gypsy. We'll see if we can't, well, of course, they're going to go past pit lane, so that's an indication that there isn't. And Mr. Biggie sliding it, drifting it through T16 suit curve. So Blister able to make a move for 4th position out of turn 11. Vuitang in 9th. Let's go to Fear the Fun in 10th position. And unfortunately, that means T-Phrase has dropped back to 11th now. And here goes Fear the Fun, looking to the inside of Futang. Wow, a lot more passing or attempts to pass there in T2 than I would have predicted. And Fear the Fun not making it happen through that go around, but certainly going to keep pace and look for other opportunities here in the remainder of the race, but also the remainder of this lap here, lap number 17 for these guys, as Dark Sir triggers the counter to lap number 18, or at least the start thereof. Through 13 and 14. there's just solid racing all around the track, but we're trying to keep it with what is the most competitive racing out there. And just quickly, Darkser in first, Salty remains in second, Audrex, I would say on a racing island, but he's got lap traffic all around him. Blister Gypsy, as we were watching there with Mr. Biggie. And as a matter of fact, Mr. Biggie starting to catch up in fifth with Autobahn. Lap traffic up ahead, and oh no, they're going to go too wide, and oh, this is not going to end well. Not going to go well there. Mr. Biggie pushing his way up through, past 18th. Gotta go fast, 6th. Bambi Buster in 7th. And actually, let's go back to Bambi Buster. It was Dagon 187 who was rooting him on, and Bambi has indeed moved himself up through the grid up to 8th position. And look at all this traffic. And oh no, we've got tire smoke heading into 15. It's going to be Mad Skills to the inside. Bambi Buster is going to make a move. Up to 7th position goes Bambi Buster with Gotta Go Fast up there in 6th. And there goes Fu-Tang on the inside through T1. They're 3 wide coming out of Nord Curve. And let's see, it's going to be Fear the Fun. Now Fu-Tang to the inside of T2. Bambi Buster's out on the grass. He's going to have to drop back to 10th. Fu-Tang still battling it out there with Gotta Go Fast. Gotta Go Fast is going to hold on to 6th. Well, actually, it's not going to go fast there. It's Fu-Tang and... Oh, hold on. Wait for it. It's Mad Skills, and now wow, Fu-Tang is now dropped back to 10th position. Trying to navigate the cameras as these guys falling back and moving upward. And now Fu-Tang dropping back 2 positions. T-Phrase back up to 9th goes T-Phrase. T-Phrase is having the race of his life out here. Bambi Buster in 8th, Mad Skills up to 7th. Let's go hang out with Mad Skills here for a little bit. Across the line they go for the beginning of their lap number 20 of 28. The 29th lap will just be celebratory, so pay no mind to it. There goes Bambi Buster to T1. Mad Skills way wide out of Nord Curve. And Slow Motion Fire back there in... Well, Slow Motion Fire is going to be a lap traffic car, so pay no mind to him right now. Fear the Fun in 11th, Disco Joint 12th, Weiss Lancelot 13th, Ray Devil in 14th, Craytrim, not a great race for him. Finished 2nd there at Circuit de Catalunya, 15th out here at Hockenheim Ray. PJ Dude in 16th, Billy in 17th, Autobahn in 18th, 19th is Slow Motion Fire, 20th is Demos, Shin in 21st, Motive 22, and we have lost one driver out here on the track, and I can't quite recall who that might have been. But 22 of the 23 drivers out there on the track still doing laps around Hockenheim Ring. The short circuit, the 1.64 mile circuit out here. Hockenheim, Germany. And there goes Blister Gypsy around Billy as Blister trying to get away from Mr. Biggie as quickly as possible. Let's go to Bambi Buster in 8th. Thank you very much for tuning in. Shadow Edge Media here live on Twitch TV, unless, of course, you're watching the on-demand version, which, either way, great to have you if you're enjoying the action, live or recorded, whichever. Doesn't matter. Please click that follow button. It lets me know as the broadcaster that you are indeed enjoying the entertainment. And if you have your notifications set up, you'll receive that notification each time we go live. We'll be live again next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, for week number 2, season 26, Forza Motorsport Spec Racing Series in the Formula Mazda. We'll head out to Sebring for 26 laps of that track, 22 laps out at the full circuit of Road Atlanta. What we've seen here, just the very tip of the iceberg. There's a whole lot more that has yet to be uncovered. A lot more drama that's going to happen out on the track. And speaking of it, we've got 4 cars there through T2. It's going to be Autobahn, though, who's off the pace. He's got others, though, that are on the lead lap back behind, and Fu-Tang in 9th. Fruitang was in 18th not too long ago, or excuse me, 18th, in 8th not too long ago. Ether in Hunt, thank you for the follow, greatly appreciated. Mad Skills, 17th, Bambi in 18th, Fruitang 9th, Fear the Fun in 10th, 11th is T-Phrase, 12th is Disco Joint, and Darkzer now just absolutely running a clinic out there. Salty Bonko's trying to close in. Back there in second position. Audrex now legitimately on a racing island. As we more traffic than Nowhereville, Idaho. Oh no! Wow, we've got some. I sure hope that is just. Oh, I sure hope that is just superficial damage that is incurred on those cars after that collision. It looks like we had a glitch, a server glitch. And I really hope that doesn't put anybody into pit lane. As Bambi Buster looking to hold on to his position with Fear the Fun contesting. And Fruitang up ahead. Mad Skills up there as well. It's so much happening on the track. It's maddening. Being the one that I think has been handed to several drivers, or at least a good handful of drivers have been holding on to that position. Very limited amount of time, however, as it continues to drivers continue to jockey for that position, and Fruitang leading the pack now down the long straightaway. Unfortunately for this pack of cars, they've got no traffic out in front of them, so they can run as quickly as they like. And there goes a couple of drivers running wide out of Nord Curve once again. I believe that was Fear the Fun and Mad Skills. Want to try to mine track limits, unless, of course, these drivers have been given the go-ahead to use that runoff area. S748 is the performance index for these Formula Mazdas heading into season number 26. 206 horsepower, but when you have 1,226 or only 1,226 pounds of weight to these cars, 206 horsepower is quite enough. 182 foot-pounds of torque. Into sacks they go once again. Mad Skills with Bambi Buster back behind. Fear the Fun out in front. And Fruitang out there, and oh no, Mad Skills is running wide. And I don't know if Mad Skills perhaps has had a controller die on him, because he is way wide and not coming back either. Well, no, he is back out on the track. I don't know what happened to Mad Skills there. A complete lapse of concentration. And now we're going to move up to fifth position with Mr. Biggie. And Blister Gypsy, who's out in front of him in fourth. And fortunately for Blister Gypsy, he's been able to shed the weight of Mr. Biggie, at least for now, and closing in on Audrex. Lap number 26 of 28. Blister tapping the drag strip at Hockenheim before heading back toward the start-finish line, and he's got lap traffic out in front of him. Two cars. Actually, check that. That'll be just one of, well, whoever it is. They're going to duck to the inside. Coming out of Nord Curve, a smart decision there. Blister goes by.